Calls Bucktown, Louisiana. Thank you for waiting. You're on with Sidney Freedberg. Hey there.
Hi there.
Morning,
Arguably, I have a couple of several questions here. If you could answer them as they go along. Arguably, 9/11 is the catalyst for it all here. Do you happen to know Osama bin Laden's code name within the CIA?
Why is that important?
Because it leads into other questions. Do you know that?
I don't.
Okay, it's Tim Osman. He's been an agent within the CIA for a number of years. Recent discoveries of thermate, which is a byproduct of thermite, was found in all three Trade Center buildings. This, of course, would lead us to the question is how did 19 hijackers put a high-grade military explosive in all three buildings?
This is the theory that some agency of the U.S. government or possibly the Israeli intelligence service Mossad was actually responsible for the World Trade Center bombings, and that Osama bin Laden is either a puppet or a fall guy, correct?
I think that caller's gone at this point.
Yeah, there's a persistent belief in that in some quarters. I've never seen any convincing evidence that the 9/11 attacks were not, in fact, what we thought within minutes, really, of them occurring, and what we've thought ever since. That it was a tactically brilliant maneuver by al-Qaeda. No one had thought of using airliners in this way. There were some thoughts that people could crash a Cessna into a building. It actually had been tried at one point. There were people knew that there were threats against airliners, but the idea of using the things as basically a manned cruise missile hadn't occurred to anyone.
Let's hear from you.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at another example of where, despite the conventional wisdom, there were people in the United States who actually were preparing to defend against the kind of attacks which occurred here on 9/11. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD for short, has been defending the skies over the U.S. and Canada for almost 50 years, 46 to be precise. USA Today reports that in the 2 years before the attacks on September the 11th, NORAD conducted exercises using hijacked airliners as weapons. And one target was the World Trade Center.
We knew he hated us. But there was nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government that could envision flying airplanes into buildings on such a massive scale.
But that turns out not to be true. U.S. military planners did envision and practice those very scenarios. As reported by USA Today, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, conducted exercises with fighter jets, simulating hijacked planes flown into the World Trade Center in the 2 years before the attacks.
And so then I saw Condoleezza Rice get up on TV and say, we had never thought, we had never heard. Why, that's a ridiculous conspiracy theory to say that.
Pentagon planners also envisioned the attack on the Pentagon 5 months before it happened.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center.
There wasn't any way then we could have anticipated what was about to happen, of course, on 9/11.
These terrorists had burrowed in our country for over 2 years. They were well organized. They were well planned. They struck in a way that was unimaginable.